All right, today we're going to jump into an ancient poem that honestly feels like it could have been written this morning. It's called Psalm 12, and it's this incredibly raw look at trying to navigate a world that feels like it's drowning in lies, and that search for something, anything, real to hold on to. You ever just scroll through your social media feed or listen to the news and just feel tired? You know that feeling? Like the truth is buried under so much spin, and that just finding a simple, sincere, honest word is like finding a needle in a haystack. It's a very modern kind of exhaustion.
But here's the wild part. It's not a modern feeling at all. Thousands of years ago, a writer felt so completely suffocated by the dishonesty all around him that he poured it all out into this powerful poem, a cry for help that we now know as Psalm 12.
So let's start where the psalm itself starts, with this desperate plea from someone who feels like truth has just up and vanished from the world. I mean, you can just feel the pain in that line, can't you? This isn't just some casual complaint. This is the cry of someone who feels totally alone, isolated by the corruption of his society, watching as things like loyalty and faithfulness just evaporate. So what did this culture of corruption actually sound like? Well, the writer gets super specific about the kind of talk that was poisoning his world. And what's so interesting is how detailed he gets. See, the problem wasn't just, big outright lies. It was the subtle stuff too. The corrosion of flattery, of insincere compliments from people saying one thing and meaning something else entirely. It was all the double talk and the proud boasts from people who seemed to just love their own deception. And this quote, wow, this gets to the absolute root of the problem. This is the boast of the very people the psalmist is talking about. The arrogance is just stunning. It's basically a declaration of independence, saying our words are our own. Nobody tells us what to do with them. And this shows it's about something way deeper than just dishonesty. It's a full-on rejection of the very idea that there's a standard for truth outside of yourself. It's describing a world where everyone thinks they have the right to create their own reality with their words. Sound familiar? So, right when the despair is at its absolute peak, the whole poem just pivots. It shifts dramatically. There's a sudden interruption. Into this suffocating atmosphere of deceit, a brand new voice cuts right through all the noise. And it's not the writer's voice anymore. It's presented as a direct response from God. And there it is. This is the turning point for the entire poem. It's this promise that God hears the cries of the needy, and he's going to act. He's going to arise and offer protection. It's this powerful statement that no, injustice and lies do not get the final say. Okay, and this leads us to the central message, the absolute heart of the entire psalm. And it's captured in this beautiful, really powerful metaphor about the nature of God's words. So the psalm builds this really stark contrast. You've got human words on one side, corrupt, unreliable, messy. And then on the other side, you have God's words, which are presented as something completely different, pure, flawless, and 100% trustworthy. But how flawless are we talking about here? The psalm gives us this incredible image of a silversmith. God's words are like silver that's been put in a furnace, tested by fire, until every single tiny impurity has been burned away, leaving behind something totally pure, incredibly valuable, and strong. And then the psalm adds one more crucial detail. The silver is refined 7 times. And believe me, that number is anything but random. See, in the ancient world, the number 7 was a huge deal. It was the symbol for completion, for absolute perfection, the whole shebang. So to say silver is refined 7 times means it is perfectly, completely pure. It's the psalm's way of screaming that God's promises are utterly flawless and you can trust them completely. So what is all this? An ancient poem about pure words in a corrupt world. What does it mean for us right now? How do we find hope in our own pretty complicated world? Well, first, the psalm is incredibly realistic. It doesn't offer some fantasy, happily ever after ending. It actually closes by saying the wicked freely strut about. Deceit and arrogance don't just poof disappear overnight. The hope it offers is a hope that exists right in the middle of a messy world, not in an escape from it. And this is where the psalm just echoes so loudly in our own time, doesn't it?
We see it in the misinformation we have to wade through every single day, the manipulation in public life, the dishonesty that can wreck a business or even our closest relationships.
But even while the wicked strut about, the psalmist holds out this promise: God protects and preserves the faithful. Feeling like you're in the minority or that you're surrounded doesn't mean you've been abandoned. And of course, this flips the camera back on us. The psalm kind of forces us to ask about our own words. Are we just adding to the noise with flattery or double talk? Or are our words actually part of the solution? Do they build up or do they tear down? Ultimately, when everything else feels uncertain, the hope here is about finding an anchor. Psalm 112 argues that this anchor is the pure, unchanging character of God, which is reflected in his flawless word. It's the solid ground in a world that can feel a lot like sinking sand. So in the end, when you feel surrounded by corruption, remember that metaphor at the heart of this psalm. It suggests that pure, true words are the silver lining in a dark world. And it leaves us with a question. In all the noise of our own lives, how do we tune our ears to hear that truth? And maybe more importantly, what kind of words are we going to choose to speak?